McLaren became the first team to officially unveil their car for the 2024 season, and it seems like the Woking-based squad means business when it comes to competing with the rest of the grid. While the majority of the public's eyes are focused on Mercedes, Red Bull has pointed the finger at McLaren when asked who they fear would have the biggest chance to threaten their championship-winning era. And with the details that McLaren revealed in the MCL 38, this might not be that far-fetched of a scenario. So, what has McLaren improved since 2023? And more importantly, could this cause friction between the youngest duo of drivers on the grid? It goes without saying that McLaren was the most positive surprise in the 2023 season, with the upgrades they brought in the second half of the season. And in addition, the team has been able to continue the grind and become the second fastest team in the majority of the races after bringing Red Bull-esque upgrades with their own iteration. With Red Bull fearing that they've already reached the top of the development curve, and with McLaren seemingly set on a very promising path, the 2024 season might not be as boring as we originally feared. With the massive downhill that McLaren entered the 2023 season, it's safe to assume that the narrative has changed and the team now knows what they want from the car. Not having to change a concept, a scenario that happens currently in Ferrari and Mercedes, is one of the biggest pluses in the Woking-based squad, and they'll effectively continue with the upgrades that they continued bringing until the very end of the 2023 season. When talking about the winter period and how that's gone down for his team, Andrea Stella went on to say, "Smooth in the Formula One sense is how our winter goes so far. This means that we're pushing everything last minute to the limit. Definitely, we've been able in every area to keep generating good ideas and to keep having good interactions in the team with clarity as to who is doing what, with the value of ideas brought to the table that were competitive. So all this seems to be in a much better place." A massive plus for McLaren is that, unlike Red Bull, the team doesn't see any diminishing results from the MCL 38. And unlike in the previous year, the team now has something that is worth hiding and not showing until the very last day of the reveal. The livery of the car looks stunning, with McLaren keeping the orange-black combination, but the steep development curve has only improved from last year, and as Stella said, the fight with Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull is definitely a reality for his team at this point. This is definitely a huge boost for McLaren's hopes, because apart from being competitive, they had one very difficult task on their hand, keeping Norris at bay. The condition that the Brit set for his team was plain and simple: build a championship-winning car until the beginning of the 2025 season, or I'll be looking to take my talent somewhere else. But judging by his comments about the 2024 car, one in which the technical regulations remain the same and his team has the upper momentum compared to the rest of the grid, Norris added, "For us to catch Mercedes, for us to catch Ferrari in terms of pace, we've been behind them for 2 years. They've not really taken any steps forward, and we've taken a massive step forward. And there's plenty more things that we know we can improve on. It's a good time for us. A few more bits of the puzzle to put together, but we found the key pieces. We know what direction to go in, so I'm really proud of the whole team. If we were in Bahrain now and I looked ahead, I was dreading the season already. So to come away with 7 podiums and all the great moments we've had was definitely not expected." But there is a hidden ace that McLaren plans to bet its fortunes on: the new technology centre that will completely make and test their new chassis, called the MTC. This is happening for the first time for McLaren since 2009, and in 2023, after the team spent a significant sum of money for borrowing the Toyota wind tunnel located in Germany, McLaren recognised that having their own wind tunnel is an integrated part of where they should be located in the 2024 season. The MCL 38 will benefit from this as well, because it will be partially designed by using the new wind tunnel. But having the facilities without the proper staff is practically a worthless upgrade, and this is something that McLaren understood better than anybody out there. Rob Marshall is probably the key signature they've been able to poach from Red Bull, the team in which he was the chief engineering officer ever since 2006. Now, having the position of technical director of the engineering and design team at McLaren, it's safe to assume that the knowledge he's going to bring to Woking is definitely going to be vastly implemented on the MCL 38. But apart from that, the team has also added another high-profile engineer in Sanchez, who helped McLaren back in 2008 build the car that won Hamilton his first championship, the MP4-23. These two brilliant minds are joining the team on January the 1st, which may seem a bit disappointing for the McLaren fans because their benefits would be reaped from the middle of the season, when the team would actually work on upgrades on the 2024 version of their car. While this does not mean that the first half of the season is going to be an indigo copy of how 2023 ended, we shouldn't be surprised if McLaren remains where they are in the first couple of races, but then manages to find even more pace in the upcoming stages of the season. And the entire mood around the reveal of the car is quite positive. Zak Brown has talked about this matter to a further extent, saying that the team has never been more happy about an upcoming project, even though they're still on a continued development in 2024 and they still have some massive goals to achieve. Elaborating further, Brown said, "I'm feeling confident. I think all the men and women at McLaren have done a fantastic job in the off-season. Of course there'll be a continued development with the car, so we're not done, we're just done with our launch spec car. Expect continued improvement over the course of the year. Clearly, we want to continue to close the gap to the front. I think we finished up last year as the second or third quickest team, depending on which circuits you were at." So what is the ace that McLaren counts on heavily for the upcoming season? It seems like the aero department is going to work overtime in order to bring the car where it needs to be, and according to Stella, this is where the team is putting its most attention because this is where Red Bull managed to pull away the most compared to the rest of the grid. Elaborating on this matter even further, the team principal of McLaren said, "When it comes to the wind tunnel development, the CFD development, we see that the gradient we established last year that led to the Austria development and then the Singapore development, it seems like we can maintain it. That's also where I would expect the launch car to be at the start of the season, and we're already starting to work on the further developments that we hope to bring relatively soon in season, and they also seem to be quite interesting. I would say in terms of the regulations themselves and in terms of the development we're having specifically at McLaren, we're seeing that the kind of linear gradient of development can be maintained." When you have Red Bull eyeing you as the most dangerous team to keep an eye on for 2024, then you know you're on the right path. But McLaren needs to keep its focus on improving bit by bit and not giving away false promises, something that Stella emphasized very early in 2023. Catching up with Red Bull is still a mission they would have a difficult time accomplishing. As Zak Brown said, it's still a mystery when it comes to the RB20 and what beast the Austrian team will turn up to in Bahrain. There is a high possibility that Red Bull would set the standards even higher, and then it would make all of the progress made by McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes go into vain, even though Horner insists that there are diminishing results coming from the factories in Milton Keynes. As for the Woking-based squad's duo, it's safe to say that they'll be pushing each other to the absolute maximum if they have a championship-winning car. And after coming from what was dubbed to be the best rookie season after Hamilton's one in 2008, Piastri will definitely be in the mix for race wins and pole positions. Stella has highly praised the impact that Oscar had not only on the team but on Norris as well, pushing the Brit to be a much better version of himself now that he knows anybody can be replaced. With this in mind, do you think that McLaren will have a legitimate chance of winning races and fighting for the championship in 2024? Let us know in the comments down below.